The air inside apartment 2B was always thick, a blend of stale smoke, dirty laundry, and something unnameable. Shadows stretched across battered furniture, turning the cramped space into a stage for secrets. 2 young men lived here, their lives outwardly ordinary. But beneath the surface, something dark was festering. On January 20th, 2026, the silence shattered, not by morning routines, but by sirens. Paramedics and police climbed the narrow stairs, responding to a call about an unresponsive male. Inside, they found a scene that defied explanation. Evan lay lifeless in his bed. His roommate Lucas stood nearby, claiming ignorance. But the room whispered of a friendship gone wrong, of jealousy and betrayal. The apartment was no longer a home. It was a tomb, a silent witness to tragedy. This was not a story of hardened criminals, but of 2 friends and the insidious creep of obsession. The investigation would peel back the layers of their shared life, exposing a darkness hidden in plain sight. The truth was more disturbing than anyone could have imagined. It all began with a simple agreement to share the rent, and ended with a chilling betrayal that would shock the quiet neighborhood to its core. Evan and Lucas met in college, bonded by their outsider status. Evan was the charismatic musician, Lucas the quiet admirer. Their friendship grew quickly, late-night talks, shared dreams, and a sense of brotherhood. Moving into the Elm Street apartment felt like the next step. At first, life as roommates was idyllic, supporting ambitions, sharing meals, and building a fortress against the world. But over time, the dynamic shifted. Lucas's admiration turned into dependency, then possessiveness. He grew resentful of anyone who took Evan's attention. The friendship became a cage, especially for Evan, who felt the walls closing in. Evan tried to be patient, but the atmosphere grew heavier. Lucas's mood swung unpredictably, and the camaraderie faded into tense silence. Their sanctuary became a prison. Evan realized the person he trusted most was now watching his every move. The bond that once gave them strength was now suffocating, and the seeds of tragedy had been sown. Everything changed when Evan met Sarah. She brought light and excitement into his life, and he hoped Lucas would be happy for him. Instead, Lucas's jealousy ignited. He saw Sarah as an intruder, and his obsession grew. Lucas began monitoring Evan's every move, checking his phone, stalking Sarah online, even showing up uninvited. The apartment became contested territory, and Evan felt suffocated. Every interaction with Sarah sparked conflict. Every date was shadowed by Lucas's manipulations. Lucas feigned emergencies, guilt-tripped Evan, and demanded loyalty. The obsession escalated. Lucas installed a keylogger, listened at doors, tracked Evan's life with Sarah. He needed control, even if it meant violating Evan's privacy. The shadow of obsession darkened every corner of their lives. Evan was caught between a toxic friendship and a chance at happiness. Lucas's surveillance became brazen, his need for control absolute. The apartment's walls closed in, and the stage was set for tragedy. The friendship had become a dangerous obsession, and the final act was approaching. The night began with a familiar argument. Evan, back from a weekend with Sarah, told Lucas he planned to move out. For Lucas, this was the ultimate betrayal. After the fight, Evan texted Sarah, unaware Lucas was spiraling. Later, Lucas offered Evan a drink as a peace gesture. Evan, hoping to mend things, accepted. The drink was laced with sedatives, a fatal mistake. Evan grew drowsy, attributing it to exhaustion, and lay down, never to wake again. Lucas watched, doing nothing as Evan's breathing slowed. He didn't call for help. He simply observed. The neighbor, hearing the earlier argument, assumed the quiet meant peace. But in the darkness, a life was slipping away. Lucas's possessive drama reached its climax with no audience but himself. The apartment, once a home, became the scene of a silent tragedy. Evan's last thoughts were of a future he'd never see. Lucas's obsession had turned deadly, and the final act played out in chilling silence. What followed was even more chilling. Lucas went about his evening as if nothing had happened, watching TV, browsing the internet, then going to bed. He slept just feet from Evan's lifeless body, the thin wall doing little to muffle the sound of fading breaths. Morning came. Lucas made coffee, answered emails, and claimed Evan was just sleeping in. But Evan hadn't moved, his body cold and pale. Any friend would have called for help, but Lucas maintained his charade. He texted his boss, worked from home, and lived a normal day beside the dead. This inaction was calculated, a buffer to suggest an accidental overdose. Only late in the afternoon, nearly 18 hours later, did Lucas call 911. His voice was a performance of panic and grief. He claimed shock, but his silence spoke volumes. Lucas had slept soundly beside his victim, a testament to his cold calculation. His actions were not ignorance, but a deliberate cover-up. The apartment's silence was part of his plan. The truth, however, was closing in, and Lucas's mask was beginning to slip. When police arrived, the scene felt staged, too clean, too perfect. Empty pill bottles, a clumsy note, and a half-empty glass suggested suicide, but nothing fit. Evan's body showed none of the usual signs of overdose. The drugs were present, but not ingested as Lucas claimed. Investigators found old prescriptions, some not even Evan's, and a washed glass in the trash with traces of sedatives and Lucas's fingerprints. Under blacklight, residue lingered on Lucas's hands. The evidence told a story of deliberate action and a desperate cover-up. The staged tragedy was unraveling, piece by piece. Forensics exposed the truth Lucas tried to hide. The apartment's secrets were coming to light. The digital investigation revealed even more. Lucas's search history was a blueprint for murder. Sedatives, overdose amounts, staging suicides. He'd planned every detail, waiting for the right moment. Deleted messages and fake profiles showed his obsessive surveillance of Evan and Sarah. Keylogger software on Evan's laptop recorded every keystroke, including Lucas's final intrusion. The digital trail exposed his possessive rage and calculated intent. Lucas's online world became the prosecution's strongest evidence. His obsession was documented in every click and message. The digital whispers became a scream of guilt. There was no hiding from the truth. Confronted with overwhelming evidence, Lucas was brought in for interrogation. He played the grieving friend, but detectives dismantled his story with facts. The staged scene, the fingerprints, the search history, each piece chipped away at his composure. Lucas's explanations grew desperate and illogical. The turning point came with his internet searches laid bare. The mask fell. Lucas went pale, the performance over. In a broken voice he confessed. He spoke of jealousy, abandonment, and his plan to keep Evan from leaving. He admitted to poisoning the drink and watching Evan die. His motive was chilling. If he couldn't have Evan, no one could. The confession was resignation, not remorse. The truth was out. Lucas's obsession had destroyed them both. The case of Evan and Lucas is a haunting reminder that monsters often hide in plain sight. Sometimes they're friends or roommates, their darkness masked by normalcy. Lucas's transformation from friend to killer was slow, hidden in everyday routines. Jealousy and obsession became a fatal poison. What began as friendship curdled into a need for control. Lucas saw Evan's happiness as a threat, not a joy. The tragedy unfolded in an ordinary apartment, echoing the dangers of unchecked obsession. The silence of a roommate, the secrets behind closed doors. These can build toward unimaginable horror. Evan's story is a warning. Obsession is not love, but violence. Sometimes the most shocking stories happen in the most ordinary rooms, just like apartment 2B.